We have just 13 days to turn this factory-built camper van into an off-grid beast. Can we do it? This is our new van. It's a 2015 Citroen jumper with a factory-built camper van interior. This van, let's face it, is designed for people to go from campsite to campsite, plugging into an electrical hookup when they get there, which is not the way that we like to travel. Straight away when we bought this van, we knew that we would have to do some upgrades to get it up to our standard. So we've come to Wales, to my cousin's place, where he's got a workshop and all the tools. We've ordered all the gear we need, but will it arrive in time? Keep watching to find out.
We had a list of upgrades that we wanted to do. Replace the skylight with a max air fan, replace this 3-way absorption fridge with a 12-volt compressor fridge, replace the cassette toilet with a composting toilet, and add USB charging points so that we could run our devices while we're parked up. So we needed a much more improved 12-volt system. Currently the van has no solar power and only a small leisure battery which runs a water pump and the internal lighting system while we're parked up. We decided to keep that battery and basic 12-volt system as it is and add a new system so that we can run the devices and items that we want to add. This meant adding 400 watts of solar power on the roof, a solar charger, a 200 amp hour lithium battery, and a 6 meter long cable running from the vehicle's alternator that will allow us to charge our new battery while we're driving.
The first thing we had to do every day was to remove the bed so Nigel could access the space where the new power system would go. This is because we were still sleeping in the van while we were doing all this work.
Morning friends, so this is day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, day 6, day 8. What are we on, day 9 or 10?
Now, because we're waiting for so many things to be delivered and some deliveries took longer than others, Nigel had to keep jumping from project to project. And rather than giving you a really disjointed look at this process, which was the actual reality of it, we have divided this video into projects. So if there's something that you're particularly interested in, we've put the timestamps down in the description. You can just go and click on them there. We have so many things we want to do in turning this van into an off-grid beast. One of the most important things is changing the fridge. So in our last van we had a 130 litre Bushman 12-volt fridge, and that was kind of a great size. This one looks about the same size if you look at the door of the fridge. However, it is significantly smaller inside. It's just a lot shallower.
Yeah.
No vegetable crisper. Yeah, room for a couple of beers, which is the most important thing, but it's not a huge fridge. Now, this is also a 3-way fridge. That means it runs on 240 volt, 12 volt and gas. It works really well on 240 volt, and when we're driving, we switch it on to 12 volt. So we just want a fridge that will just run on 12 volt all the time. So we are going to be decommissioning this fridge, pulling it out, and we're going to check the space. We've got this cupboard underneath, which we're not really using at the moment. And our plan is to get a slimline fridge and fit it into this whole space here.
Right, so you can see some markings I've got on the side panel there. The next job to do is to look at measurements for the proposed new fridge. So I've gone ahead and I've isolated the gas inside, and I'm also going to turn the gas off in here because there's going to be a gas line to unhook.
The simple way to disconnect the fridge is through the rear vents.
Okay, so this little catch here that slides up, and there is the back of the fridge. Electrical connectors, and somewhere in there there'll be a gas line. We've disconnected the gas, turned it off, and also isolated. So then what you need to do is you need to, there's a cable tie there, you need to cut this cable tie. That's 12 volt, so unplug that, and then this one here is a plug for the It's hard to see. It's up inside. It's quite simple actually. That just literally just unplugs.
And is that for the 240?
That's the 240. So the gas line runs up and then into this wood. Believe it or not, is a part of the fridge. Yeah. So once I disconnect this gas line, in theory, it should just pop right out.
Once Nigel had disconnected all 3 power sources, he could just pull the fridge out from inside the van.
There we go. There we go. So for now, I've just put the fridge back in. Now that we know the dimensions are going to work, that's provided this support tray comes out. That's going to have to be removed. But I've just reconnected the gas. We just keep the 12 volt and 240 volt disconnected, and we can still run the fridge until the new one arrives.
I don't know if we've really talked about the fact that with this conversion that we're doing from the Pössl to a off-grid beast, we're doing it on a budget. So with our last van build, we went kind of quite high-end and as much high-quality gear as we could, obviously with a price tag to match. So one of the things that we've been tossing up about is this fridge. The fridge that we want costs about £2,000, which is about 4,000 Australian dollars. It's a beautiful fridge, but it's not really budget. So once we got the fridge out, we determined that the slimline compressor fridges we were interested in would fit into that cavity. So that was good news. However, that's when all the fun and games started. Basically, we went backwards and forwards with a bunch of different suppliers. One minute they had stock, the next minute they didn't. One minute they had stock and the next minute they were going to have to order it in, and they were telling us we were going to have to wait till the middle of October. Now, it's early September now, and we are planning to be well and truly on our way on our road trip in Italy by the middle of October. Oops, spoiler alert. So yeah, at the time of me recording this in early September, we still don't have a fridge. However, we do have plans that is going to be fixed next week in real time. So hopefully in the next video, we can show you the beautiful new fridge.
We have 2 ways to charge the new power system. The first is via solar, and we're going to put 400 watts of solar panels on the roof of the van. While we waited for the solar panels to arrive, I started formulating a plan of how I was going to run the solar cables from the roof down into where the new power system is going to live. In preparation for this, I built a platform on top of the rear wheel arch, as this is basically just a vacant dead space. First, getting the cable through the roof. I need to put this cable entry box into position that's going to take the solar panel cables down into the power station. I need to put a 20mm hole in there to take the cables. Now, we didn't have an actual hole saw, so I had to utilise drill bits and go from small to large, and then a dodgy hitching tool, and finishing it off with a manual hand file. It's always important to clean up your metal files after doing such a job, as the metal files can turn to rust, and that's going to create problems down the track. So we'll treat it with some rust-proof paint. Brush would have been good. And once that was dry, in went the grommet, and then the cable through the cable entry box, and then I Sikaflexed the entry box into position. Yeah, that's all sealed, so that's all good. Install solar cable entry box, done that. Good morning, friends. It's 9:15, day 3, and I've started investigating how we're going to run these cables. So this panel here, this plastic just pops back. You can see cables running in there. The problem to solve is those solar cables have got to run down along this corner and then down here
And I reckon we can pop out there, ultimately hopefully through that panel.
I removed this panel at the back and rear of the van and the overhead to start looking to find a way. And then once the cable puller tool arrived, that then made the job that much easier to pull the cable through. I'll run to the left of the maxi fan through the cable entry box, and then I'll run along that inside channel, down that corner, through there, and then across and into the power station. Now I just had to wait for the solar panels to arrive. One of the main upgrades we wanted to do was to replace this existing skylight over the bed with a max air fan. This fan can blow air into the van and suck air out, and it's going to be a godsend on those hot, still nights. The big question was this existing skylight hole going to be too big? The good news is that it's going to work, because hole size for the max air fan is 40 by 40. So I'm delighted to find that out. After removing the interior framework, I climbed up on top of the roof. I'm just going around the perimeter here carefully with a Stanley knife, and what I'm finding is that it's actually, you see, it's coming up nicely. And the good thing is, this foundation has already been laid, so the max air fan in theory should just sit quite nicely on top of that rubber mat.
Oh, here we go. Ew, no more skylight.
I then had to work out how to get power to the max air fan. Of course, the skylight does not require 12 volt power, so I had to run a new length of cable. So that's where it's a hole, obviously, for the max air fan. We're just trying to work out where we're going to run a cable. So I've got this plastic tube. It kind of makes sense to have it running this way and behind this cavity here. There it is. Awesome. So I'm going to pull this through. Yep. Yeah, so just run the 2-core cable. There it goes.
There he is.
And so that's going to run down there, down into the corner, and down into the station. So happy days.
Good job, Nigel.
That's working. We then had to wait almost a week for the fan to arrive, and when it did, we climbed up onto the roof to take care of the next part of the install. But I'm going to use this existing tape that was used to hold down the existing skylight. We've got some more beautiful tape that will go on top of that. I'm going to have to clean it all around here with some degreaser, get all this moss and dirt off. I'm going to just test to see that this hole is going to be perfect. Rightio, so the moment of truth. There's the unboxed U-Butte. We've gone with the tinted fan. Here's the base that it slots into. These screws have to be that way. And let's just see if this hole is going to be okay. Oh, you're kidding me. That's just like a glove. Brilliant. And I don't have to do anything up here because the edge is pretty well perfect all the way around. Yeah, that is going to save a lot of time. Alright, well this area is looking a hell of a lot cleaner. Just clean this contact area out, and then I'm going to lay the butyl tape on top of that. Put the mount on, and I've got a whole bunch of screws to drill, and they'll drill down into that timber, which is great. And then I'll seal on top of the screws with some Sikaflex. Okay, that's what that looks like. So now I can go ahead and fit the max fan and locate those 4 screws. Now, they do tell you in the instructions, I'm pretty sure, but the trick to locating these screws here is you must lift with a knife, with a screwdriver or something. Oh, I've actually just found an easy way. So with a flathead screwdriver,
You can just pry them up easily like that. And then there we go. We can see the hole. Last screw. So with that, my friends, that is the top part of the job done. We can rip this off. Protective cover. Don't really need that. Look at that bad boy. That looks so good. It's going to actually be quite nice having the clear top. Before we go ahead and wire everything up to the lines running through to the power station, I just want to do a dry test here, make sure the fan's working. Positive, and negative. Awesome, that's working. Oh yeah. Oh man, that makes a difference, just getting that circulation. And there we have it, folks. The U-Butte Max Air fan fitted and wired, just ready for a battery. I'm just going through all this inventory. We've got a lot of stuff arrived yesterday via Amazon and eBay. Right now I just want to make sure that these lugs are going to fit this cable. So this is the cable for the DC to DC charger.
The DC to DC cable provides the second means of charging the house battery. As we drive, the vehicle's battery trickle charges the house battery.
Here we go. So, oh yeah, perfect. That's great. So the biggest one's going to fit. Okay, so we've got the van outside in the sunlight, so we actually see better what's going on. I've just ripped the battery cover off. So what we're going to do is we're going to put a lug on this end and tee into this side. I'm putting the battery out, this battery box out, so I can find a safe and effective means of going through drilling through the battery box and then running that cable, you know, from under. It'll run underneath and then up into the garage. It's a bit shabby. They've just drilled a hole and run the wire through. So what I might do is tidy that up, and we'll put a gland through that as well, so we don't get any moisture up into the battery case. All right, the battery is out.
We put the cable through corrugated conduit to protect the cable and to also add an extra layer of safety.
All right, so the trick here to run the cables is to run something through the conduit. So it's just a plastic, like a reasonably firm plastic tube. I'll punch that through, and then I'm going to tape that on the cables onto the end of this tube, and then we're going to pull it through from the other end. There we go. I'll feed it through. Yeah, beautiful. That's how you do it. So these glands come with the corro. So this clamps around the corro, and then from the other side screw onto the other end, and it's going to obtain a nice clean. Alright, so the cables have been run through. That's the best we can do at the moment, and unfortunately that hole was right in that corner, which makes it really hard to flush those joints. But anyway, we'll plug it up with Sikaflex, and I'll do the same over there with that hole. So the DC to DC cables are run through.
I got under the van to investigate, as I had to find an entry point for the same cable at the rear of the van.
Right, it's good news. I've just removed this plate here, which has exposed these holes that were drilled previously for venting the gas bottles. I've just removed one of them. So there it is there from the inside. That's how they do it in Europe. It's an acceptable regulation, but there's the vent. So Where do you think I come up through there?
I think
I'll scallop out there and chisel back, and then you can run up behind the gas bottle like that, and then we'll just run him through there.
Yep.
So I'm literally just going to sculpt this out with this round chisel blade, so shaped like a 25mm. So that's kind of looking pretty good. Okay, there's my hole, and the DC to DC cable is run.
The cable was fixed underneath the van by the combination of means P-clamps, cable ties, and even running it through an existing hollow in the chassis.
Up through that breather for the gas, and through this hole, and into the what's going to be the power station. I might just have to float around and figure out what I can do next while I'm waiting for stuff to arrive. So yeah, that's the dance that we have while we're waiting for things. What can we do to utilise that precious time?
We hope you've enjoyed this video. Join us next time when we get a huge delivery and Nigel gets back up on the roof to install the solar panels and get the whole system working. Hopefully. Thanks for watching. See you next time.